This is probably gonna be like the worst and best video that I could ever make for myself. Worst because this is something that's so incredibly hard for me to talk about. And it's always terrifying to think about even getting back to that place somehow. Like, I know I can physically never go back to that time in my life, but even, you know, talking about it and reliving it is kind of like feeling like you're going back to that time. I'm afraid of making people angry. I think honestly it's just the 16-year-old me still being terrified from this situation, even though I am much older and stronger and in a much better place. But I still deserve to speak my truth, and I never thought I'd say that on a YouTube video, but here I am. And I say that it's the best video that I could ever make as well, because I hope that it at least does something for one person. This is a video that I promised myself that I would make 2.5 years ago when I started my channel. I had like a list of video ideas that I wanted to make. One of them being like my fresh out the womb makeup tutorial, like I came up with that title specifically. And then another video idea was how I got out of an abusive relationship, which are very two parallel videos, but yeah. When I was a teenager, a thing that helped me realize that I was even in such a horrible situation that I was in was actually a YouTube video, to be honest, and it was by Jaclyn Hill, and it was about her toxic relationship herself. Say what you want about Jaclyn Hill, but you know, she will forever have a very special place in my heart because of that video. And I don't know where I would be in my life right now if I had never watched that video and realized, holy shit, I am in a very similar situation as her and I need to get out. Additionally, there's just some other brave women that I have seen, you know, coming out with their stories, such as like FK Twigs and her previous relationship with Shia LaBeouf, and even Lindsay Hughes, which is someone that I've been watching for a very long time. So I thank people like that every single day, and I feel like finally, after a long time of healing, I'm at a point where I can hope to just be a sliver of that impact for someone else. This is how I was able to leave an abusive relationship as a teenager, and now I'm able to confidently and proudly say as a 21-year-old woman that I am very proud of myself. In the description, you'll find some resources about some tips, guidance, hotlines, as well as places to donate if you feel like doing that. So in this video, I want to touch on a little bit about my story, red flags, how I was able to leave, things that made it easier during the healing process, as well as what I looked for in future relationships. I'm sharing pieces of the story because I feel like it's really important to understand and get a little bit of context without sharing too much information or, you know, giving any information about the person. But, you know, also this is my story to share, and I feel like context is very important here because I think someone out there might be in a very similar situation as me, but may not feel like it because you may not see us as being relatable, but I think my story will probably resonate with a lot of young women. So for starters, I was very young. This was my first longer relationship. It's something that has scarred me for a very long time. It's something that I had to work through in therapy. Physically hurt me as well. While this relationship was emotionally abusive, it was not physically abusive, although I kind of will touch on that later on. I've opened up about this in the past, about my issues with losing weight when I'm anxious. And this was a huge stem for a massive weight loss that I had when I was younger, and that was a very big deal for me in high school and carried on, you know, through the years since. This has made me struggle in my future romantic relationships, such as like even the one that I am in currently, which is a very loving and healthy and beautiful relationship. It made my time in high school and even college almost like a living hell at some points, just because I was faced with people taking sides. I lost a lot of friends and I was shunned by a lot of people from my community, and somehow it was twisted that I was a bad person for ending a relationship with someone. And because I stayed quiet and I was never truthful with anybody about what had happened in my relationship, it backfired on me. Although I don't think that anyone would have even believed me. I sometimes feel sorry for younger me because I feel like I lost a few years of my life worrying and having anxiety over this and being scared a lot. Jumping in, I want to talk about some red flags that you might see in your relationship, but you might not see them as red flags, because I certainly did not see them as red flags. I quite honestly didn't know any better because it was my first relationship and I was very young and I didn't know what to really expect. Number one is jealousy. I remember when I was young and it was like almost admirable for people to want their significant other to be jealous. It was almost like, oh yeah, I like when my partner is jealous. I like that. That's like an attractive trait to me. Like, oh, if he's jealous, that means that he really, really, really likes me or loves me. Jealousy can go as far as not allowing you to see other people or getting angry when you're seeing other people. I remember early on in the relationship, I was visiting a friend who just had a stroke in the hospital, and I changed my outfit from my school uniform into something more casual to go into the hospital, and my significant other completely pulled me apart. And why was I dressing nicely for this friend? Why was I looking so cute for this friend? My friend just had a stroke and was in the ICU. Additionally, I couldn't have any guy friends. Some of the closest friendships that I had with guys was just non-existent anymore while I was with this person. And it sucks because that's what an abusive partner will do, is isolate you from a lot of your friends. And I didn't even realize that it was happening, because in my mind I was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be friends with my guy friends because that's weird. I shouldn't be friends with any guys. Not at all. Like, that's wrong to my boyfriend. Another red flag is if your partner is controlling. Controlling can mean a whole lot of things, but controlling can also look like being angry at you for not doing what they expect, telling you where you can go, what you shouldn't be doing. But sometimes it's not even explicitly telling you, like, you can't do these things. Sometimes it's just expressing disappointment that you even want to do these things, or telling you that they're, you know, upset with you and that makes them upset because you want to do something. There was times where my job would call me into work and my boyfriend would tell me that I should not go in because I am taking money away from other people and I should just stay home. I remember once there was this arts and craft project that I had to do for Spirit Week, and once again, because I went into work and I didn't get the arts and craft project done before I went into work, completely threw a fit. Fit's not even the right word. Went into rage and screamed at me because I didn't do it when I said I was going to, and I went to work instead. And telling me what I can and cannot do and when I can't do something. Another example is quick involvement, meaning immediately into the relationship you are getting either love bombed, which is instantly expressing, you know, how much they care about you or how much they love you, saying I love you very early on, making you feel suffocated by this love and, you know, expressing that you are this special person and that they've never met anyone like you. And this can be very, very suffocating and even harder to leave. I was quickly being pressured into doing things that I didn't want to do, but I thought I was supposed to do them because this was my boyfriend and that's normal. But it was things that I was not comfortable with, and it was extremely overwhelming in a very short amount of time of even knowing each other. And especially when you are new to the whole relationship scene and you are starting off dating someone and there's so much love there and so much quick involvement and so much passion right away, you just kind of feel like, oh my god, this is what it means to be falling in love. Another red flag is unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are, you know, exactly what they sound like they are. A lot of times abusive partners will use certain phrases to make you stay into the relationship, telling me that everyone always leaves my life. Like, everyone who comes into my life always leaves. So you can't leave me. You have to promise me that you won't leave. And right away, from the very beginning, I was like, oh my god, yeah, of course, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stay, because you feel sorry and you feel like you have to prove something to this person. And if someone's telling you that everyone always leaves, that is a red flag within itself. Have you ever considered why everyone always leaves them? Just food for thought. Another red flag is blaming others for their problems or their feelings. I was consistently being called awful, terrible names, or told that I'm the reason for his mental health struggles, or I make him want to kill himself. Whenever there was a fight, which was very often, and I'm talking about like at least twice a day, I was always told that I was the reason for his rage and that I'm the reason that he acts the way that he does. And of course, always in those kinds of situations, he would always apologize and say that he'll be better next time, and I feel a lot of guilt and shame because I'm like, oh my god, I caused him to go into this blind rage, when in reality it wasn't my fault. And I think that's one of the reasons why I also stayed in the relationship for as long as I did, because I always told myself that I was the problem and I was going to get better and not make him mad anymore, and I need to work on that, when in reality that was not it. Another red flag is disrespectful or cruel to others. Like I said, I have seen the anger and the rage within this person and how they didn't just, you know, put that out onto me, but onto other people as well. But because it wasn't very, you know, public or out in the open, very few people saw this rage or anger. So during the day, people would be like, oh, this is a normal, nice, peppy kind of person. This person would never hurt or disrespect anyone else, when in reality, it was very possible, but they were very good at masking it. If your partner ever tells you that they've harmed animals before, that's a red flag. Another red flag is just downright sexual assault or abuse. I'm not comfortable going into it, but I will say that it is never your fault. And that sometimes it may take a while for you to understand or process what has happened and realize that that is not normal and that should not be happening. Another red flag is past battering. This means where you may hear that the person was abusive to someone else that they were in a relationship with, or the person may deny it and claim that their ex is crazy or it wasn't that bad. Both of those things have happened to me. I've heard people, you know, warn me, but I didn't really listen. Even long after the relationship with word came back to me and I was the crazy ex. And you would think that even after all these red flags that I would realize this person is no good for me or for anyone at that time, but I was extremely afraid to break up with them. I didn't even really see breaking up as an option. I was so in deep that I thought that this is as good as it was gonna get, to be honest. And if you are in or were in a similar situation as me, then you probably also didn't tell anyone about what was going on. You probably did not even tell your closest of friends or your family about any fights that you would have or anything that was going on in your relationship, because you probably knew it was as bad as it was and that if anybody had heard about it, that they would not want you with this person. I found myself crying every single day or every single night, whether I was in school, in public, at work, anything. I was constantly crying and I was covering it up. My family had suspicions that something was going on and I was just a very, very good liar. I remember one time someone in my family walked in on me sobbing and my boyfriend was like, oh, she's just really, really, really stressed out about school and I'm trying to calm her down. Yeah, I'm really trying to just help her out. And then as soon as, you know, my family member left, I was yelled at about how sensitive I was by my significant other. So now we're on to the best part of the story, how I was able to leave. It was actually over one of the pettiest of fights ever. I was supposed to make something for the next day, and I didn't do it as soon as I got home, but I decided to do it after work. And he called me screaming at me on the phone, not realizing that my mom was in the car and could hear everything. And for the first time in my relationship, I was just like, I don't care if someone hears this. And I was happy that someone did hear it. With my mom's reaction, I realized that this was not normal in the slightest. And because I was especially at such a young age, I needed someone to step in and tell me themselves, Nicole, this is not normal, for me to fully understand and be like, yes, this is not normal. After that, the breakup process was not easy. I broke up with them over text because I felt like that was the safest way to do it, because this person started to get violent with their surroundings. This is where I was kind of talking about the, you know, physical abuse. Although he never hit me, he started being violent with the items around him in my presence, and that's when I knew that was going to be me very soon. And if I didn't get out of that relationship, I knew that what he was doing to those objects was gonna happen to me eventually. It was not a very quick breakup. It took a few weeks for this person to even understand that we were no longer together. It took weeks of like ultimatums, like, if you come meet me at this spot, I will never ever talk to you ever again. Just please meet with me at this one spot. Threatening to kill themselves, finding out my location and following me where I was, would not leave me alone, would find out where I was at certain times of the day. I had to block numbers and accounts. I considered changing my number, and it took quite a while for there to be any actual sort of silence. And like I said before, it was not easy for me at all because I was finally free from this relationship, and while I was feeling really good, I didn't realize that the backlash in return was I was losing my friends. There was entire friend groups who really didn't like me, attack me on social media, were very, very misinformed about anything that was going on in the situation. Go as far where teachers even started to turn their backs against me and would not even say hello to me in the hallways anymore. All because I was labeled as the crazy ex and no one understood why I left. Lies were being spread about me that I had cheated or that I left him for my best friend, when in reality I just left an abusive relationship and I was extremely elated all the time. The biggest thing that had helped me through this situation was telling people and making as many people around me that were close to me and I felt safe knowing aware of what was happening. Meaning that the teachers who did support me and that I did feel close to, they knew about the situation very well and this person was not allowed in their classrooms. Telling my managers and my coworkers at my job also helped, because if this person happened to show up at my place of work, then I was able to just disappear. And because I felt like I had this strong group of people who were supporting me, it made the process a lot easier throughout the breakup. It was a very, very, very dark time for me though, because as much as I wanted to be happy all the time, there was personal information about me being spread around, rumors being told, this person lying about doing sexual things with me. And the anxiety that I had living my life every single day was so immense over something that I thought would bring me a great amount of joy. But I just want to emphasize that if you're in a similar situation, it will happen with due time. I thought that that was going to be my reality for the rest of my life, but it was not. I was also concerned about the whole getting over him part, and that happened a whole lot faster than I also expected. I think that's because when I realized that I was in such an abusive and shitty relationship, it was really, really easy for me to be like, I don't deserve that. I remember asking my mom, how long is this gonna take? How long is this whole pain from a breakup gonna feel? She was like, I don't know, maybe 2. I was like, 2 months? She's like, no, maybe 2 days. And I did not believe her, but damn, that shit happened. I want to talk about some of the things that made it easier for me during the whole healing process, which is still an ongoing process to this day. I'm still healing and working through a lot of things, but I can tell you that every single year I feel like I'm so much better. Even 2 years after everything was said and done and over, it still affected me immensely every single day. But now it's been many, many years and it's really a lot better. Like I said before, I developed such a strong friend group. This group of friends who believed me, were there for me, supported me through everything, was everything that I needed and more. And it felt like all of these lies and rumors and potentially being followed sometimes, it felt like it was okay and things were going to be okay because I had the friend group that I did and the support group, which included family and coworkers as well. I kept myself so busy. Not only did I have a job, on top of that I got into new hobbies. One of the main hobbies was lifting. Lifting saved my life. I went in with absolutely zero gym knowledge and I decided to invest in a personal trainer because me as a teenager was just like, yeah, I'm gonna get a personal trainer. That's what I'm gonna spend my Chipotle coin on. No, but it really did honestly save my life. And lifting was the best thing that I could have done for myself because not only was I looking hot as hell and working out and felt like a beast, but I also felt like I could beat someone up if I had to. I actually didn't, but I felt very, very great about myself and the constant endorphins just really helped. But like I said, I was also doing other hobbies like painting and finding more passions, and I really felt like I was coming into the person that I was meant to be. Felt like this relationship sucked the soul out of me and I was gaining it back, but 10 times stronger, 100 times stronger. Another thing is that I also asked people to stop mentioning his name around me. I know it may seem very interesting and you may want to hear, what is this person up to? What are they saying about me? But that quickly got very old to me and I did not want to hear about it any longer. And so I told all the people in my life, or when people would bring up his name, I would just be like, I'm not interested in hearing about his name. Please don't bring it up to me anymore. I don't care what he is doing or what he is up to or what kind of dumb shit he has to say about me this week. And that made it so much better because out of sight, out of mind. Which brings me to my next point, block that person. Don't check up on their social media. And additionally, if people in their life are also making your life a living hell, block them too. They don't need to be seeing what you're doing. Another thing is that I went to therapy. Therapy has helped me beyond measures with this entire situation, and I don't know how I would have coped if it weren't for therapy. Therapy was amazing, 10 out of 10, definitely want to go back. But it helped me talk through a lot of my feelings and helped me feel more validated, because as much as your friends can tell you that your feelings are valid, it means something completely different when it's an unbiased stranger. And I know that sounds insane, but when you're in this cycle of abuse with someone, you do feel a lot of guilt and you do feel like you did something wrong. All the things that they did to hurt you and were abusive towards you was not your fault, and it took me many, many years to finally convince myself of that. It was not my fault that I was getting screamed at. It was not my fault that this person started to get violent. It was not my fault that this person was very verbally and emotionally abusive to me. That is not my fault. And I also promised myself a whole lot of things. I promised that for future Nicole that I would never accept something like this again. I know a lot of times, when you're already in an abusive relationship, you're likely to be in more, or if you grow up seeing abusive relationships, you're likely to be in more. But it was really, really important for me to sit down and understand what was going on, feel all the emotions I needed to feel, but then afterwards talk to myself and be like, okay, Nicole, this is what you accept in the future, and this is what you do not accept. Which leads me into the next thing, is how I dealt with future relationships. I don't really talk about my relationships a lot on this channel, even though I DM all of your crushes, or I am DMing celebrities asking them to be my Valentine. I don't talk about relationships. And that's honestly because I didn't really date afterwards. I remember I was trying to attempt to talk to a guy, and it was so overwhelming for me to even have this conversation through text that I just woke up and I sobbed the next day. And I was like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna do this again in my entire life. It was more than a year until I met my current boyfriend, Adam, or Stands of Adam on this channel. And while that relationship sparked when I least expected it, it also sparked at a time where I knew I was ready. Strangely enough, I remember that period of time I was telling myself, like, it would be nice if I was in a relationship and I'm open to the idea of it, but only if it's pure love and it is actual love and not abusive love. And so when I was ready, I looked for all the qualities that my ex did not have, or the qualities that I did want in a partner. Someone who was kind, someone who was not an angry person, someone who was not manipulative, someone who would genuinely treat me how I'm supposed to be treated, which is so sad that that's something that you have to actively look for. That's not, the default, but unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. Within the first few months of Adam and I dating, I explained to him what had happened to me in my previous relationship. I was very open with him and told him what happened, how I'm still working through things, and the patience that I was hoping for. And he gave it to me tenfold. He's been amazing through everything. It's been many years, and if I ever have anxiety attacks about what happened years ago, he is always there for me and very understanding, and I have not seen that man angry ever once. Never raised a voice to me, never has been angry or upset with me like that. Truly an amazing human being. That's something that I always would think about while I was in my previous relationship. I remember sitting there and being like, I'm scared that I'm in an abusive relationship, but I just don't know it. I would always tell myself that. And now I don't feel the need to try and convince myself that I'm in a healthy relationship, because I just know that I am in one. My relationship does not cause me stress. My relationship does not cause me to be upset. I don't cry. I cried because I didn't like how my makeup turned out yesterday. And that's the type of things that I cry over nowadays, and not because my boyfriend is screaming at me and calling me a piece of shit. And I think one of the coolest parts of this entire story is that I felt like I was at such a low. I didn't see how it could get any better ever. I didn't see how my life could improve from what I went through, not only from being in an abusive relationship, but everything that came along with it. My mental health struggles, my physical health struggles, feeling not accepted in my own hometown, getting bullied online. All of these things I felt like would last forever, and it never did. It never did. and it got so much better. And so I'm telling you right now that if you feel similarly, like it will never get better for me, this is as good as it's gonna get, it's never going to be a happy ending for me, that is so not the case. And when I say happy ending, I don't mean finding, you know, your Prince Charming or whatever. I mean being genuinely happy and safe with just yourself. I have this love and value for myself, and I know what I am worth and what I expect from a relationship and from love around me, not even that is romantic. And so I know that that can happen for you as well. Every situation is very different. I can tell you right now, it's probably not going to be easy, and it's probably not going to be short. Usually these kinds of situations are extended and long, sadly. And you will probably face backlash, and not everyone you tell will believe you, probably. But you need to do it for yourself to reclaim your life back, and you need to get out of your abusive relationship if you are in one. I thought I was gonna be a lot more emotional in this video, or that I was going to struggle through this video a lot more than I thought, because while I was writing the notes for this video, I was very scared. I was back in like anxious mode. I was like extremely cold and like shaking. But now that I'm talking out loud about it, it's not bad at all, because I feel empowered for once with my story. I don't feel like I'm ashamed of it. And I don't feel like I'm scared anymore. But I know that somewhere out there, there may be someone who is like a 15, 16-year-old Nicole who is going through something really similar, and I want to help her realize that she needs to pull herself out of this. And I just want to make it clear that this can happen to anyone, even when you think that it can't. Like, I always thought, like, that's not gonna happen to me. I'm way too independent and too strong of a person for this to happen to me. And then it did. It can happen to any gender. It can happen any age. And abusive relationships do not discriminate. And as cheesy as it may fucking be, it does get better, and you will be better. Also, I think 15 and 16-year-old Nicole would really like 21-year-old me now. I mean, who wouldn't? I really don't know how to end this video, because it feels like nothing is like conclusive enough to end a video such as this. If you did like this video, you can leave it a like, because it helps me out a lot, and also comment if you have any resources or any tips for people in the comments. I can't say that I'll be, you know, reading every single comment, because I'm working on protecting my peace. This is still just a very sensitive subject to me, but I will be trying to read as many as I can. Make sure that you subscribe if you want to be nasty, and if not, you're disgusting. Also make sure you have your bell notifications on so you know every single time I post, or else you are gross. If you want to follow me on my other social media like Instagram, Twitter, T-pop, Spotify, it's just at Nicole Rafiee, and if you want to follow me on my TikTok, it's at Nikki Nasty. I hope that if there's anyone going through something similar that I did, that you find the strength to do what you need to do. I love you. I don't know if I ever said that to you before. Okay, bye.